Word up. What's good, family? I'm getting everything going, getting everything rolling. What's going on here? All right, word. Okay, look like we are live on all three platforms. What's up, YouTube? What's up, Instagram? What's up, Facebook Live? What's going on? Okay. We're about to get it in real quick. This is going to be our fourth Akomacast. Usually we do Success Saturdays, and just this past Saturday I was busy. I was living my best life, so I didn't get a chance to record. Shout out to Lil Duval. Man, having such a great time with that song. Smile. Okay, no, we're not gonna go there. Want it to be PG? No, it's all good. What's going on, man? Are you guys out there grinding? Are you guys out there making magic happen? What's good? Okay, cool. All right. So as I like to keep it, I want to try to maintain my integrity. So this is going to go in place of last Saturday's Akomacast. So, like I said, usually around 10-ish, something like that, around 10, 11 a.m. Usually we'll go ahead on and put on the Akomacast Success Saturday podcast. And what's good? Yo, shout out. Appreciate the love. Okay. We would do that, on Saturdays or whatnot. So in a sense, we playing catch up. So that's all right. It's going to be good because one day it's going to be thousands of videos and it'll be out there, and hopefully it will help to benefit somebody out there. All right. So let me go on and get to it. All right. So the title of this particular Akomacast, or podcast, if you would, Akoma's podcast, is Understanding Your Culture as a Tool of Living Your Best Life. Or, so as you can tell, it was inspired by Lil Duval's Living My Best Life, right? Smile, right? So anyway, let me just sort of at least share a little bit from my journey and what's going on in my neck of the woods, and and just sort of share with you all how culture has having a cultural identity and understanding of myself and my culture, how it has helped me be a more powerful person, just inside my own person, for my family, as well as for my community, as well as the world. Okay. In fact, I remember when I was interviewing for my current teaching position. By the way, that's another thing that I am. I am a teacher, and so one of the parents had a question in terms of, was I able to relate to a diverse population? You know how they do, man. Sometimes, man, just because you're black, man, they just be like pigeonholing you, thinking you can't relate to other people of the world because you're black. I don't know, maybe because their ancestors enslaved us. Can you teach my daughter? Can you teach my son? Are you going to tell them the truth? Yes, I'm going to tell them the truth. And you know what? I'm going to make them a better human. Okay, so yeah. But anyway, my response to that question was yes. I said, of course, I can relate to other populations of the world because number one, I have knowledge of myself. And when you have a healthy sense of self, in other words, you have a strong cultural identity, what it does is it empowers you to be able to love other people. It don't necessarily make you hate other people. Now, don't get me wrong, you're a human being. And once you actually start digging through the files of history and you really start understanding like the truth, especially for us as African people. When you ingest that information, it does kind of like, in many cases, make you feel, don't make you feel so good. However, you have to kind of go through that journey because that is part of understanding your authentic self. And if you understand your authentic self and you act out of your authenticity, what it does is it helps you to be able to have real conversations. And when you can have real conversations, you can have real connections. And when you have real connections, then you can really create real possibility. Other than that, we're like wearing a mask, like the Fugees, we're wearing them. And don't get me wrong, like we wear masks in many cases. I mean, sometimes you can't wear the nice mask all the time. You can't wear the mean mask all the time. It's just kind of funny. One of my students, she sort of introduced me to this idea of RBF. I was like, what is that? What is RBF? And she told me resting bitch face. She cracked me up, yo. That just had me dying, man. But, once again, it was funny. So anyway, just sort of going back to wearing different masks. Sometimes, depending on what you're doing, depending on the energy, depending on what it is that you are trying to cause, sometimes you do have to wear a different kind of mask. But in terms of like just authentic connection with number one, just like I said, having a healthy understanding of yourself, having a healthy connection to your family members, having a healthy connection to your community members, having a healthy connection to the world. You have to have a strong sense of self. If you don't have a cultural identity, what'll happen is you'll start acting like other cultures. Like you will value other cultures. And don't get me wrong, I can step into anybody's home, and once again, when I step into it, if I'm in a situation where I'm stepping into somebody from another ethnic group's home, and we're sitting down, breaking bread, having conversation. In my view, I feel like I am a solid representation of African people around the world, or Black people, which one you want to go with. Okay, so I can sit at the table. I can have healthy dialogue. I can have real dialogue, and depending on what it is that I'm up to, in terms of what it is that we're having, because certain conversations is not necessarily for everybody, and that's not being inauthentic. That's being intelligent. Okay, like you don't have all conversations. I don't sit there and talk to my daughters about the like every hardship that I encounter. Okay, no, the idea is to, they're children, so we have to be leaders of our homes, and we don't necessarily want to burden them with the challenges of adulthood. So those kinds of conversations I don't quite have. However, maybe I will take an element of that conversation and reduce it and make it a bit palatable, because it's something I want them to understand, to be a better kid, to be a more powerful kid, okay, or youth, if you would. So all conversations aren't for all people. However, we can still connect, and we can connect for the reasons that we need to connect. And then, I go home to where I go, where I rest, and then they go home to where they go, and it's all good. Like, it's all good. Okay. So anyway, so once again, having a healthy understanding of who you are in terms of your culture, let me sort of share a little bit more about this. So now, you guys, culture runs way deeper than your holidays, if you would. Okay. They run way deeper than that. However, I think it's a good, place to begin. All right. So over the holidays, okay, it was good. I mean, like my family celebrates Christmas, and we're not really religious, so it's not for the religious purpose. But I do it out of literally, like, out of Kuji Jakalia. I do it out of self-determination. I do it because it's fun. That's why I do it. You know how people be like, remember the reason for the season, blah blah blah, blah. And that's fine. Like for them, that's cool. I respect, your vantage point. I have some members of my family who are very religious, and so for religious purposes, I understand why they're saying what they're saying, and that's cool. That's cool, and because we're family, and I have a real strong cultural sense of self, they can make that statement, and it's cool. Like, I don't take offense to it. In fact, I support them, okay, because I'm strong in who I am. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand. Great, great, great. And on some levels of that conversation, we can connect, okay? So maybe I don't quite necessarily buy into the actual story, the religious story, if you would, but the values, okay? Yeah, being good toward men, giving, all of that's right in sync with our culture, okay? Being charitable, giving, joy, peace, all of those right in sync with my culture. So it's all good. So we will connect on those levels, and we should connect on those levels. A lot of times, many groups, sometimes even ethnic groups. I mean, religious groups do it too, but sometimes ethnic groups do it as well. They like to enemyize everybody who's not a part of their micro group, if you would. And no, that's not the way. Okay, the idea is to be powerful in the world. So, and plus, like I said, I have a good time. I don't know if you all seen my other video. I had the the ugly sweater on, and that's cool. Okay. Now, granted, I have to be intelligent about what images that I allow to radiate within my home. Okay. So, for example, because I'm of African descent, and because of my history in this country, and because of all of the other things that go on psychologically and sociologically and so forth, I have to be really careful about what images I allow to come into my home. Okay, so in other words, the images that my children are exposed to have to be self-affirming, right? They have to reflect them. Okay, in many cases, because like the standard culture, it's like normalized. Like many people in my community, like we'll just put like all kinds of images, and next thing you know, it begins to sort of color how we view ourselves, and we don't necessarily have a very strong sense of who we are. Okay, and that's problematic. Okay, because it may start out something small, like just a little Santa, like a little standardized, looking Santa or whatnot. And next thing you know, if I try to bring something that reflects like a black doll or something like that, I try to bring that into the space, then my kids, as being children of African descent, they look at this and they don't want it, they don't value it, and so that becomes a problem, because then that filters. It starts with toys, and then next thing you know, you don't feel comfortable around your own community, and that can't happen. Okay, that just cannot happen. It won't happen. Not in my household. Okay, so we do Elf on the Shelf. Okay, but we gave them African names. They look like them, and we had a great time. My wife made all kinds of like cool little stories around them, and we had a good time, and it was great. Kids loved them. They loved them so much to the point that, when it was time for the elves to go away to wherever the elf land or whatnot, kids cried, and I was like, oh my God, I was just hoping that I wasn't like repeating the whole Santa, saga, where, as a kid, when somebody break the news to you, Santa isn't real, you're like, no, you got to be lying, right? Yeah, so that's that. So, and then of course we did Kwanzaa. Man, we turned up, man. We turned up so awesomely. It was just amazing. I mean, like, we definitely, we must have had over, I don't know, it probably was at least, you figure it was probably about 20 adults, and most of the adults had 2 or more children. So you figure somewhere between 40 and 60 people that came over, and it was all a potluck, and everybody brought a little something, so that sort of helped in terms of like feeding the village and whatnot. And and of course, everybody was in cultural garb. Definitely my children, were definitely in cultural garb. My mother-in-law just came back from Ghana, and so she had had one of my daughters wearing a kente cloth fabric based type of dress, and then my other daughter, she just had just another just Ghanaian dress or whatnot. My niece, she was rocking her dashiki, and then everybody else kind of came in with their own little hookup. I mean, I had my Ghanaian garb on, and and it was great. My mother-in-law, my wife, everybody. I mean, everybody in the community, everybody came, and that was great. And the thing was, like, our children was really looking forward to Kwanzaa. They couldn't wait. They couldn't wait until we had this karamu. And so we had everybody come through. We had drums. We had like African dishes. We had African American dishes. My mother-in-law is just awesome with her pound cake. My wife just went nuts. I mean, she had Caribbean cabbage. Like I watched them Caribbean cabbage, but basically, what is that? I'm trying to think of the doggone curry cabbage. We had yassa, we had the whole joint, man. I mean, we had fried chicken, we had vegan section because, some people of our community be vegan, and so we just had the whole, we had everything from lemonade to BSAP, you know what I mean? And it was great. It was wonderful. It was great. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. And, we got a chance. We had drums and all kind of instruments. Must have had, I don't know, we must have had some old, I don't know. I mean, I think when you look at all the, like, between the drums and the shaker rays and all that stuff, we must have had at least, I'm being a bit conservative with the number, but I'm going to say probably at least 20 instruments out. And we, we throwing, we shaking and, we dancing, we doing all this stuff, man. And it was great. And it was great. And it was great. And that was just the musical aspect of it. Okay. But then we got a chance to really get present to the values. So, we went through, we did a brief history, a brief explanation of, like where Kwanzaa came from. Well, first we began with first just welcoming everybody. Then we poured libations, to the Most High. And that was beautiful because we had a sister, from Ethiopia, what I mean? So she's here, and she was in her cultural garb and whatnot, and then she poured libations, for continental Africans, Africans over here, us over here, and just our people over here and the whole nine, and so she really blessed the space in that way. Then we had it hooked up where, like, the kids, like, we had all the kids. It must have been at least, I don't know. I mean, this is in one house too. We had about 30 kids, right? But we had the teens. We had them as teen leaders, and so they worked with groups of the youth, and they taught them what the principle was, helped them pronounce the principle, and then told them what the meaning was, and had them reflect about ways in which the principle was active in their lives and whatnot. And the kids was they were in some senses some of them were having a bit of a trouble trying to correctly pronunciate it because it is Swahili. We're not quite native to Swahili, but it's all good, and we did that. And so they went before the community, man, and presented. And once again, this is all in our home, right? So, and that's another thing too, and we do both. Like, sometimes we'll do things like in the community, like for the community at wide, and then sometimes we'll just invite the community into our home. So this is not just something that's, just something that we just do. It began there. Don't get me wrong. It began there. We you said that was your favorite part. Shout out to Miss Singleton over there. Shout out to Angels baking cakes. Get your awesome cakes. That's my dear sister right there, and this that's family right there. It's a beautiful sister, beautiful family, the whole nine. And yeah, so so they presented to the kids. Presented to the community. And and it was great. And the elders enjoyed it. The adults, the parents enjoyed it. And, we got a chance to deal with those principles and talk about, okay, well, how can we utilize those principles to cause a better future for our community, for our families, for ourselves. And we sort of like dealt with that in the scope of, I guess you could say, the idea of Afrofuturism. And so that was fun. That was fun. And then, we signed off everything with 7 Harambe's. And then, we lit up all the candles. And then, we had the youngest member of the group blow out the candles. And it was great. And so we gave reference to the eldest member. I think the oldest member of our group was like 89, which is, we call her Gigi. It's my wife's grandmother. And then we had the youngest, I think, was 4. And that was great. And then, and then afterward, we just sit and chill. I don't think I went to bed till like 2 a.m. that morning. Shout out to my students because I had an online class that day, and I was just a tiny bit late for my class or whatnot. But it was fun. And you guys, I'm just empowered. Oh my goodness, somebody calling me here. Really? It's my parents. This my mom. Just hold on one second. This is cultural, right? Just hold on. Mom. Okay, how you doing? Okay, can I please call you back in about 5 minutes? I'm on television right now, on YouTube anyway. Can I call you back in 5 minutes? I'm on, mommy, mom. I'm recording right now. Like people are looking at me. I'll call you back. Okay. All right, bye bye. Okay. Sorry, it's mom. Okay. Yeah. So lastly, so I just want to say, you guys, just take some time to the understand who you are, okay, and cherish that, okay. And we're going to continue talking about this thing about who we are because I was just sort of dealing with this thing of this idea of Black identity, and this whole thing about like sometimes we choose to accept certain terms that sometimes work to our betterment or work to our demise. Like for example, like I'm ghetto, okay, like, and don't get me wrong, and I connect to my folk, because I come from low income housing, okay, or I should say areas where income housing was, okay. I come from that, okay. So I don't want to say that I'm rejecting low income housing. That's not what I'm saying. But at the same time, I'm not ghetto, okay. And we're gonna have to talk about this because I was reading this book right here by my dear brother Michael Eric Dyson, and he was talking about the whole this idea of an Afrocrat, and he was talking about it as something that was negative, like these uppity, educated like Negroes, that wear these cultural garb, and I was like, I don't consider myself to be uppity, but I don't vibrate with a certain mentality. Why? Because I'm a man, I'm a parent, I'm a husband, and my actions have to be geared toward making a better world. So if it's something that's destructive, I can't really identify with that. So I don't necessarily consider myself to be ghetto. Okay. I'm there working in those spaces because I want to be there because I know I have to be there to be a reflection of what does it mean to be a man. But um I ain't ghetto. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't ghetto. I'm an African, all right. You know what I mean? I'm black, okay. That's what I am, okay. I'm black excellence. That's what I am, okay. I'm success. That's what I am, okay. I'm communal. That's what I am. I'm love. That's what I am. I ain't ghetto, man. I ain't no. I ain't ghetto. I ain't hood. Okay. I know the language, but that ain't me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. We gotta talk about this, you guys. We gotta talk about this. And so anyway, uh yes, exactly. Yeah, I see you over there, Miss Africanita. Yeah, I'm like, nah, I just certain terms I'm just not vibing with. I'm just not vibing with. And because um there is a strong connection with how you identify yourself and how you speak about yourself, like what terms you identify with. Not that we can't be multiple things, okay? Because like I said, I'm depending on where I am, I could be black, I can be African American, I can be African, I can be Detroit, okay? I can be down south, okay? I can be a teacher, I can be an investor, I can be a techie, depending on where it is that we need to be. And that's the magical thing about our traditional culture. If you go back, and I know that some people get all like freaky weird about like looking at our traditional culture, and you look at the different masks and different things, and so like when they're like drumming and doing all this stuff, it looks all crazy, like especially for some of us who are like really religious. Like some of that can like really freak us out, but understand what it is they're trying to get across. They're trying to show you the multifaceted multifacetedness of nature. Okay. And so if you look at nature as being multifaceted and you look at human activity as being multifaceted, you understand that sometimes we do have to adapt, right? Otherwise, if we don't adapt, then we could just be destroyed by our environment, right? So the thing is, we do have to be adaptable. We do have to be willing to change. But at the same time, the other part of reality is you got to be able to have a position too. You got to be able to have a stance. And certain things that are just negative or whatnot, like don't get me wrong, like as a martial artist, okay, as an emerging martial artist, okay, because I'm still working toward my black belt. I ain't there yet. I ain't even halfway. I'm just really beginning my journey. But sometimes I may have to protect, okay, and if I have to do that, then I got to take on that personality. I got to take on that way of being. Um, so as you should. Okay, that is a part of life. Okay, as a parent, you should be that way. You should be able to protect the children. You should be able to stand up and do what you need to do to protect them. Okay, and then at the same time, you have to be a nurturer. So sometimes it just depends on what you need to do in order to make life better. So anyway, we're going to talk about that probably in the next Akomacast. Okay, just another topic in regards to our identity. Like, who are we? Okay, who are we? And so with that being said, you all, I just want to say, look, Happy New Year. Love you all. Peace be unto you. Thank you all for tuning in. And hopefully we can really get this thing popping right here, you guys. I'm really excited. We got some things coming down the chute too. And do understand, for those of you all that are in my local area, we do have culture classes coming up for our youth. Okay, so that we can raise our babies to be productive members of their community and productive members of the world by giving them a strong, solid cultural sense of self. And culture relates to everything from your academic self, your cultural self, your economic self, your political self, your spiritual self. It relates to everything. So we really want to try to really ground our kids in the right way. Okay. And then also we need to have this dialogue as parents and also as causers of the next future that's in process right now. So thank you all for tuning in. Peace be unto you. And I will see you in the next Akomacast. Peace. On here.